Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with us today. We are doing what we do, which is talk to elite people who are doing elite things. And today we're going to take something that honestly is, you might think it's kind of simple, like, okay, I know how to do that, but do you? And in today's market, do you understand it? Because pricing's become fascinating in today's market. And so when you go on a listing appointment, are you doing your CMA in a way that's going to help you truly connect with the seller and help them understand where to price it? So we've gone to my friend Carrie George, who's in Colorado, and you have a system you use for this that's really good, and you're going to step by step teach it to everybody today, which is awesome. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Will you tell us who you are and where you are and a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. I'm Carrie George. I'm in the northwest part of Colorado near all the ski resorts. And I've been selling real estate full time in my small county of about 16,000 people for 21 years.
And doing it at a high level. You're a member of our Inspire Collective, which I love too, and you're on the pivot calls and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to go in a minute, kind of step by step again on how you do your CMA. You're going to pull it right up and show it to us. Inspire members, we've put together like a checklist on how to do it that you can download from the portal. If you're not an Inspire member, you can go to jamesdshaw.com and click Join Inspire and learn a little bit about what we do, which is going to be great. But you've been selling homes a long time. How many homes did you sell last year?
About 40, almost 50.
All right, so a house a week. You're doing a house a week in a resort market. It's really pretty cool, and you're having a good year this year too.
Yep, absolutely. It's been
That's great. Listings are really important to the business, and you've been able to kind of figure out how to price them. But it's something that people kind of figure out, but you take this super seriously. Can you tell me why?
I really do. Well, and one of the biggest reasons why is that I'm in a market where every home is different. I don't live in an area where, it's just a neighborhood with 5 different floor plans and that's all there is. So I had to get really granular on pricing property or else I was going to continue to fail. So I had a mentor teach me how to do a CMA 21 years ago, and I've been using it ever since, and it's worked very, very well for me.
Does that system work today in this market that is kind of confusing and demand is different and supply is different and prices are changing? Are you telling me the same process will work in 2025 that worked in the early 2000s?
It really does. And what's even stranger is I haven't even changed my adjustments in 21 years. And I think of it kind of like ships rising in the harbor as prices started to rise. I didn't need to make any changes to the adjustments. So I've been using the same methodology for 21 years.
You're using appraiser speak here, but it's not an appraisal, but the system is similar to what you follow. Is that right?
That's right.
What are some key things an agent needs to think about? We're going to show it off in just a minute. I'm going to have you kind of walk through how you do it in a minute. But what are some key things an agent needs to think about when going in to do a CMA in today's market?
Well, if the buyer's getting a loan, there's going to be an appraisal. So why not use the same methodology that an appraiser uses when you're helping the seller price the home from the get-go? I know a lot of people will do a price per square foot analysis. And again, that works if all your homes are exactly the same. But if they're not, and you have a very large home or a very small home, you're going to get all these skewed numbers and maybe not get it right on price. And like you mentioned before, James, now is a market where pricing is absolutely critical. And so getting it right from the get-go is so important.
Well, let's learn from you. I've never been a fan of price per square foot anyway. I think it's a silly way to look at things, but a lot of people like it. But let's go in and learn your system. So let's go into your MLS. We're in your MLS now, and I'm going to let you kind of just take over the show and tell us what we're doing, Carrie.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to do a CMA on my mom's house, which I thought would be really easy and fun to do. So, and just a couple of quick caveats. I use Flex MLS. It's going to look different than your MLS, but the methodology is still the same. You will still have a CMA program within your MLS. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously I want to pick sold properties, and then I'm going to get granular on the area. And mom's house is within the town limits of Kremling, so I can very easily just draw a little shape around here, and I'm going to pull up these comps. And I've already looked at which ones I wanted to choose, so I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail, but to just give you an idea, I'm picking comps that are similar in size, location, and age to my mom's house. Because that.
All right, real quick. So you didn't type in an area or pick a neighborhood. You just looked at geographically close to where she is? Do you have a certain distance you're going? Are you eyeballing that? How do you figure that part of it out?
Well, I live in a really rural area, and it's 25 miles till our next town. So that's easy for me to do. Like, I just picked the town limits of Kremling. Now, if you were working within a subdivision, that would be my next preference. If I'm there's another subdivision about 20 minutes away. If I was doing a CMA for that subdivision, I'd want to pick only comps from that subdivision. So you can do it by geographical location or by subdivision.
All right, perfect. Take it away. Go back and keep going.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so here are my 4 comps that I've picked for mom's house. And right up here, I have this CMA button. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to use the selected 4.
And pretty much every MLS has some type of CMA button. It just may look a little bit different.
Exactly. There'll be tutorials in your MLS, so you'll know how to do this. What I'm teaching you is the philosophy behind the CMA.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to go next. This is a CMA for my mom. Hit next. And then my MLS, and probably yours does too, has a way that we can auto-populate from a list number. So I've already pulled that. I'm going to enter that here. And it's going to pull all the property details from the last time it was on the market. She has made a couple of changes. She added 2 bedrooms and added a bathroom. So I'm going to update there, and all the other fields are the same. So I'm focusing on bedrooms, bathrooms, finished square footage, lot size. I don't have to worry about that too much with this one. Year built and garage stalls. So those are the fields that are pulled for this CMA. And then I've got my 4 comps here. And then here is where the magic starts to happen. So I make the following adjustments for all my standard CMAs. Now, when I go and I'm working with a property that's a little bit more unique, then I will add different adjustments to the process. But for a basic CMA, I'm looking at bedrooms, bathrooms, finished square footage, year built, and garage stalls. So those are the 5 things I'm going to make adjustments for. Bedrooms is $12,000 per bedroom. Bathrooms is $4,000 for a full bath, $2,000 for a half bath. Square foot is $50 a square foot for the difference in size. Year built is $500 for the difference in age, and garage stalls is $12,000 per bay.
I'm curious where those numbers come from.
So when my mentor showed me how to do this 21 years ago, he literally pulled a book off of a bookshelf, blew the dust off of it. It was some kind of like appraiser Bible. And he opened it up and he's like, all right, here's the adjustments that you're going to use. And like I said, I've been using the same adjustments for 21 years.
Yeah. So you haven't changed the amount in 21 years. It's been $12,000 for a bedroom for 21 years.
Exactly. And
whenever that book was made, it's been the same, and you found it. Because I know there are people saying in the comments right now, not in my market.
Right.
That's not how it is where I am. But you're saying this is held pretty universal for you.
It has in my market. But my caveat to everyone listening is you should reach out to your favorite appraiser in your area and run these numbers by them and ask them, do they feel that is appropriate for a CMA? Not for an appraisal, but for a CMA. And I, continually check in with my favorite appraiser, and she's like, I think your adjustments are perfect. So, and they seem to work. And oftentimes I'll be doing a CMA on a property, she's doing an appraisal. We have different numbers, but we end up at the same number at the end of the report, which is also so fascinating to me.
That's really interesting.
So I know this works.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with bedrooms. When I'm doing the CMA, I'm trying to make the comps as equal to the subject as possible. So for instance, this one has 1 extra bedroom. So I'm going to take a bedroom away from it by subtracting $12,000. This one has 1 less bedroom. So I need to add $12,000 to this one. No change here because it's the same. And here again, I need to add a bedroom to this comp. Now I move on to bathrooms. No change for the first one, but these 3 all need another bathroom. So I'm adding $4,000 to each comp here. And then finished square footage. I've already done the math, so you guys don't have to watch me fumble with my calculator. But again, this home is larger, so I'm taking square footage away from it.
What'd you say, $50 a square foot?
$50 a square foot, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
This one's smaller, so I'm adding square footage to it. And this is a thing you just keep in mind throughout the entire CMA. You're either subtracting or adding to the comparables to make it as equal to the comp as possible. 250. Oops. And then lastly, this one was quite a bit smaller. So this one's got a big adjustment. And then I also did math for year built. This one was newer, so I'm making it as old as mom's house.
What do you add and subtract for years?
This is $500 a year for the difference in age.
Got it.
Okay, and then this, and then 6,000 here. And then the garage stalls is super easy. Again, I'm going to subtract a garage stall from the first comp. I'm going to add. See, even I get confused. Oh no, that's right, subtract. This one I need to subtract 2 garage stalls. This one I need to add a garage stall, and this one, no change at all. So even after 21 years, I sometimes will be doing my report and I get all kind of mixed up when I'm working through these. And then if you scroll to the bottom, the way my MLS works is I can look at each individual property and see what adjustments I made for each property. So that's kind of helpful too. Now, if I had something special I needed to do for a comp, like let's say it was either in really bad condition or really good condition, I can add an adjustment here and maybe I'd put something in for condition if I needed to. Or if one of the comps had a pool or, you know, something that was unique for my market. Then I click next. And I get this great summary, this aggregate of all the data. It shows me my total adjustments on each comp. It shows me my average days on market, the average sold price per square foot and list price per square foot. It shows me my sales to list price ratio. It gives me all this great data. And then on the last screen, it's going to give me a high, a low, and a recommended list price. And I have confirmed this with RPR, and I'm off by like $2,000.
Oh, wow. So it's very similar to what RPR is telling you, which is just another tool that goes in the toolbox to try to figure out what the right price is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And RPR doesn't always work great in my area. So I need to lean into this tool and bring in the human element because I've been in so many of these properties and I know what they should be priced at. So I think that the CMA tool is just super valuable.
Good. You got more to show us?
Nope, that's the end of the report.
Oh, I love that. So then tell me, this is really, really interesting. Tell me then what's the next step? Now that someone's gone and done this, like let me pull up this the screen that kind of gives you the report. Now what happens?
So then I print this and then add it to my listing presentation. And then when I sit down with my seller, we're able to go through this report. And actually, let me see, I'll just show you the PDF, which actually works really
that'd be great.
Very nicely. Let's see here. I think if I do the print preview. Okay, so can you see this?
We cannot because we're only seeing your tab.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, darn it. Okay.
No, that's okay. We can stop the screen sharing. You can reshare the new tab, but I'll let you kind of go through that and figure that part of it out.
Okay.
And we're going to multitask, which is what everyone's
perfect.
so great at. You have gone through and figured this out. You're getting a range. It's giving you a recommended list price. You're using that information to go in and sit down with the potential seller, along with other tools like an RPR, and then just your eyeballs from knowing the market. So tell us how you're walking them through the pricing conversation then with all of that stuff, and I will pull up the report that you have now. So
okay,
I'll add it right now. There it is.
Can you see it? Okay, great.
Yep.
So the great thing about this report is it just kind of hits on all of the highlights that the seller is going to want to know about. Like, well, what comps did you pick? Well, it's got this great little map included with it. So they know I picked comps that are relevant to their area. It's giving, some key details about the property. But the part that I like the most about this report is this section here, which looks similar to an appraisal. So when I go over with them, I say, here's your home here. Here's all the details about your home. Here's comp number 1. Comp number 1 had an extra bedroom. I need to take a bedroom away from comp number 1 to make it as equal to your home as possible. So then I run through this report and explain what I've done. And then I think if I'm in competition with an agent who is just using a price per square foot analysis, you can see how much more impactful a report like this is going to be for a seller. And then if I know there's one comp that's really stands out as the best comp, each one of these has an adjusted sales price at the bottom. And I can say, your home is really most like 915 range, and this one was at 625. So I think we can push the recommended list price a little bit because this one was most like your home.
You're only saying that because it's your mom's house. No,
Right.
I'm just kidding. It's great. So the pricing conversation is totally different because it seems like they could look at a list price and like if we go back, I'll pull this up. Go back to the top because if you look at the one on Central, go back to the one on Central. I'm sorry, scroll back down for me. I apologize.
Yeah, right here.
Keep going. Yeah, see this here on Central. So Central, it sold for $635.
Mm-hmm.
Now your mom's house is 900 Kinsley, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're thinking a list price in what, the 585-ish range?
Exactly.
Yeah. But she sees it sold, this other one on Central sold for $635. And I promise you, she would not subtract out $12,000 for a bedroom, $20,000 for the difference in the square footage, $6,000 for the year built. Like she would compare it way differently, I'm sure, and undervalue the differences, right? Isn't that what most sellers would do?
Absolutely. They're like, well, so-and-so's house sold for $635. Mine's just as good. Well, now we're getting granular and we're comparing the differences and we're taking out the key pieces of the property that really either add or subtract to value. So yes, now 1605 Central Avenue, its adjusted sales price, once we take out and add in, is $585. So if it was as equal to mom's house as possible, it wouldn't have sold for $635. It would have sold for $585.
Like I could see in this example, a potential seller going, yeah, you're right. It does have one more bedroom and it's a little bit bigger. So maybe, 600. Like they would come to some kind of just normal number.
Yep.
And we're still overpriced by $15,000 or whatever. So it's totally changing the conversation.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of a time where you sat down with a seller who was, kind of adamant on a price and yet you walked them through it this way and they were like, okay, Carrie, you're right?
Yeah. So I think because the appraisers use the same methodology as a CMA, we've all heard that saying that we have to sell it 3 times. We've got to sell it to the buyer, we've got to sell it to the agent community, and we have to sell it to the appraiser. And when I explain to them, this is how an appraiser is going to look at your property when we're under contract, why don't we use the same methodology they're using so that we don't get this wrong? Because the danger of that is you're under contract, we've gotten through everything, you're packed up, and we come back with a low appraisal. That's going to be a disappointment for everybody involved. So that conversation happens more often than not. And when we go through this report and they understand that this is also how an appraiser is going to value the property, then it makes the conversation so much easier.
Of course, you're clear with the seller, it's not an appraisal. So the appraiser is going to come and do their own thing.
Right.
If you and the appraiser are apart, you definitely have a way to defend how you got where you got.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that's happened from time to time too, where you have to go back to the appraiser and go, hold on, wait a minute, something ain't right. And let's walk through and take a look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's a mistake you think that agents make sometimes when it comes to a CMA that they easily fall trapped to that maybe a couple of years ago wasn't that big of a deal because of the way prices are, but now it can be a big deal?
Well, so one of the things I've seen agents do is they're using the CMA tool, but they don't make any adjustments. I think they don't understand the purpose of the report. And so that was the clarity I was hoping to provide with this presentation, is that you're not just grabbing properties that are similar. Now you have to actually manipulate them to make them like your subject property. And then, of course, the other thing we talked about is agents. I mean, I still know agents that are still like 20 years in the business that are still using price per square foot analysis. And it's just inherently so flawed. And that's not a knock against anybody. That's just, I don't think that it's a great way to price property.
They don't buy square footage anyway. They buy floor plans. That's what people are buying. So to make adjustments for that stuff is really, really smart. You have, again, thank you, walked through it. If you're not an Inspire member, go pause it and watch the video and write it down. If you are an Inspire member, just download the step-by-step sheet that Carrie put together for you so that you know how to do it. And your MLS may be a little bit different on how it's done, but it's really good. Carrie, you've been in business 20 years. You've seen multiple kinds of markets. You're in a market that's going to be impacted by the economy as a second home market and all that kind of stuff. What's just your advice to agents right now to make sure they're pricing right and getting their listings sold?
Well, first of all, join Inspire so you can watch the Emily and Aaron.
Tell us why. Why should they join?
That call, I mean, I got to be honest, I have 21 years in the business. And when sellers would come to me or I'd go to them and say, it's time for a price reduction, like we would, I don't want to say we'd guess, but we'd sometimes just guess, or I'd redo the CMA, be like, okay, we've got some new data to work with. That call gave me a how, when, and where, I guess, to initiate a price reduction. It was
You're talking about the call we
mind-blowing.
did with Aaron Simons and Emily Baker
Yeah.
on price reduction conversations. That is an Inspire exclusive, and that's one of our most popular calls we've ever done.
Yeah.
But how did that help you specifically?
Oh my gosh. I just feel like for 21 years, I've been sort of winging it at the price reduction game. And this gave me a formula that I'm so able now to fully articulate how and when we need to do a price reduction. And there, it's like almost the seller can't poke any holes in it. It is so foolproof and so laid out so perfectly that you bring the information to them and they're like, yeah, you're right. We do need to reduce the price. It was I think the best call, that like 3 years in Inspire, I think that's been my favorite call.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for making that suggestion. Anything else? Any other pro tips?
I would say that, like in my report, it gives me a high, low, and a recommended. Right now, I'm pushing people to really consider coming in under the recommended because, again, days on market is just the killer for listings right now. And we need to see that days on market start to shrink instead of expand. And I feel like there's a lot of sellers who are still living in the 2020 and 2021 where we were just order takers and properties were flying off the market, and it's just not that market anymore.
What's that conversation sound like? If let's say we've got the thing up, and so now I've got the CMA on the screen, and I'm your seller, and you're giving me a recommended price. What does that conversation sound like?
Well, so what I'm telling them now is the days on market is what's going to really end up hurting them. And that if their goal is truly to sell their home, we do not want to be chasing the market downward. We want to enter the market at such a number that we would potentially be looking for multiple offers. That's really the goal for every seller, in my opinion, because then potentially those buyers are going to push the price even higher. Of course, it still needs to appraise, but that's ultimately our goal, is to get the multiple offers.
It's good stuff. Carrie, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. Great stuff today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.